Hi everyone, welcome to this Nanyang Business School Open House Business Analytics Specialization talk. My name is Associate Professor Damien Joseph. I am the Program Director for the Business Analytics Specialization and the Program Director for the Business Analytics Work Study Program. Right? We will be answering some of your questions raised through Slido, and keep those questions coming. We will start answering them now. Personally, I think analytics is overrated, right? How do numbers predict behavior? To a large extent, numbers do predict behavior, and the more data we get to use for our analysis, the better it is for us to predict. There are a class of predictive tools out there called predictive models. They've been used for a long time. Marketers use it to predict your purchase behavior, for example. They use it in supermarkets by placing things together, different products together, because they know that if you buy product A, you are more likely to buy product B, right? So in that sense, they are using the data from their customers, right, to influence your behavior. So it's not so much as not only in predicting your behavior, but we can use the data to influence your behavior. Okay. So yes, so the more data we collect about people, right, the better we are able to predict. Here's another example. The predictive search terms that you use in your browser, right, in your search engine, is a good everyday example, right, of how predictive analytics works. Right? It is a powerful tool, right, to describe, to explain, to predict people's behavior. We use it to predict the environment, right? So every day your weather reports are predictive in that sense. And we also use it to predict failure of machines, when your lifts will break down, right, when your printer is more likely to break down, that sort of thing. So in that sense, yes, right? Numbers can predict behavior, can predict events, right? So it is a powerful tool. We have something called the work study program, right? The work study program plays up the experiential component of the business analytics specialization, right? It is designed for those who want to deepen their exposure in the field, learning to solve tough business problems, honing the science and their craft of business analytics. There is demand for business analytics professionals by organization. Right? We get them, employers calling us, asking us whether we have students wanting to intern with them. And there's a hunger among the student body to do internships. So what we did was we married those two, the demand and the supply, together to form this specialized program, right, which is available within the 2 years. It offers the incumbent 36 weeks of continuous internship experience with an organization without having to extend your candidature, right? So which means you will graduate within the 3 years with at least 36 weeks, if not more, working experience with an employer, right? So the benefits are experiential learning. You learn to apply the skills that you have learned in school to a real world business situation. You are handling complex problems, challenging problems in an organizational setting. And because you're on an internship, you get an allowance from your employer, and while out on internship, you are still gaining your academic units. So in essence, you're almost like in school, getting that whole semester worth of credit hours, right, along with the experience and a stipend, as you will. So in that sense, what we find is our past students that have been on this work study program have been offered employment almost a year before they graduate, right? So that's a kind of benefit as well. Oh, where is business analytics used? Business analytics is used in almost all domains actually. right? They use it in medicine, in aerospace, in transportation, in supply chains, right? So almost every large organization which has the ability to collect data, analyze data, churn data, right, is capable of doing analytics, right? The reason why analytics is becoming important is that we are now at a stage where the computational power and the amount of data that we get, right, allows us to put these things together for recommendations, right, for learning new things, right? So professionals and managers in this new work environment make decisions based on evidence, right? No longer gut feel. Okay, so in that sense, it goes back to what I said earlier, right? The world is now moving towards evidence-based decision making. I am now in national service, and are there any courses which I can take during my free time to boost my chances of getting into the business analytics specialization? Strictly, to get into the business analytics specialization, you must first get into the business school, right? And then you need to get a B+ in your statistics course to be then able to compete to get into the business analytics specialization. So what courses in our first year, right, make it valuable, make it viable for getting into the business analytics specialization? Now, if you're in NS, or if you are after the A-level results have come out and you have some free time, I would suggest doing a few things. One, take a course to refresh your statistics, right? Because you need the foundation, right? And go beyond regressions. I think in the A-level syllabus, in the poly syllabus, regressions would be the mainstay of the coursework there, right? So refresh those, right? You may not want to go for courses, but go back to your textbooks, go back and reread those again. The other course that you might want to take is a course on Python, a course on maybe R, because these are the scripting languages that are now required in any business analytics job, right? Of course, when you come in to NBS, all first year students will be taking will be reading a course on programming for data analytics, and in that course we will teach you Python. But if you want to ace that course, or you want to have some prior experience, right, in scripting for analytics, try a Python class. That would be very helpful. What is the difference between data analytics and business analytics? It is in the terms themselves, right? You can think about it as being bottom up or top down. When you are doing data analytics, data is where you start off with. You have a whole bunch of data, right? You analyze the data to discover what insights you might have from that data, right? So in that sense, it's bottom up from the data, right? There's no particular question that might drive the analysis of the data, right? You are exploring, right? You are trying to find new relationships. You are taking a very exploitative view towards competitive advantage. Business analytics, on the other hand, starts top down, right? In the sense that there is a business problem or a business question that needs to be answered, right? And the business question or the problem drives the collection of the data, drives the analytics, drives the insights. That's the kind of difference that we have at the moment. What is the job scope like for this specialization? It depends on where you are situated, right? The job scope, at least for the people that we train, right? When you graduate, we have people in consulting, right? So they are in consulting with organizations as data analysts, as business analytics professionals, where they are part of a larger team that goes out to consult on client problems. In those cases, the client which the consulting agency engages with will provide the data, will provide the problem, and it is your job to then crunch the numbers, right? Develop some recommendations, and sometimes even present back to the client. Yeah. In other organizations, if you are within a analytics function within an organization, you could be in supply chain, for example. You could be in marketing analytics, financial analytics, or some organizations have a financial analytics department. You could be residing there, right? So in those cases, you are very domain specific. You are solving or you're recommending for problems within that domain. For the business analytics specialization, are there many final exams, or is it more focused on group project and practical skills? We have a good mixture, right, of courses with final exams and courses where the projects and practical skills are the major component. Let's not forget that business analytics is two things, right? One is your domain knowledge. The other is knowledge about the tools and techniques. So we have, we impart certain knowledge which is enduring, and that needs to be tested. And those types of knowledge are best examined through final exams and stuff like that, right? But the business analytics is also an applied field, right? You are applying your skills to a particular domain, to a particular problem. So in those kinds of situations, right, the final project, and mainly they are team-based projects, right, that will in place of the final exams. But that's not to say that all our courses are project-based or team-based, because there is a very good balance of individual assignments and team-based assignments. So you will encounter courses where 50% of the course grade is based on individual assessments, and the other 50 would be on team-based, right? So we need to know that you know how to do your work as well before we send you out into industry. Please share what are the digital literacy courses at NBS and which that all students must take, and how do these courses help? When you come in your first year into the Nanyang Business School, right, we have two courses that develop your digital literacy skills. One is a course on technology, innovations and development, right? That is a course in which we teach you the fundamentals of basically information technology and technology. So we go through what is hardware, what is software, what is telecommunications, right? So these are the enduring technologies, and then we bring in the new technologies like blockchains, AI, analytics, right? So we have that. That course is 12 weeks, right? It goes all the way through. And the other digital literacy course, right, is a course on programming with analytics, right? So that is the fundamental course where we teach you how to analyze data. It's simple data, simple stuff, using some statistical tools, right? Some statistical techniques, and at the same time you'll be studying statistics as well, right? So you will apply your statistics knowledge in that particular course, right? Using Python, for example, right? And how do we churn the data with that particular tool? Okay. So those are the two digital literacy courses that we have in the first year. Now, as you move on to the second year, right, depending on whether you're in the accountancy program or in the business program, you'll encounter other digital literacy courses. In the accountancy course, you will encounter a second technology course, which is called Accounting Information Systems, right? And that course will train you to, as an accountant, right? Your mainstay will be the use of some accountancy package, right? And we will train you on that. And then you move on to other things. In the business program, right, what we will do is, depending on which specialization you take, right, there may be some analytical component, right, within that. Which types of organizations have the most data, right? So organizations that have always been at the forefront of technology, at the forefront of developing their transaction systems, right? So banks, for example, have a wealth of data on people, right? They've collected that data for many years, right? Supermarkets, for example, right, have wealth of transaction data, right, with your loyalty cards, right? So those kinds of organizations where they have always been collecting data, right, about people will be the organizations where they have the most data. And what do they do with all that data? Well, they profile people. Remember, one of our early questions is, can we predict behavior? Yes, that is where the data comes from, to predict your behavior. What is big data? Is it called big because there is a lot of data, right, and then we call them big? Big data has a few characteristics, right, and we call them big data because it matches these 5 criteria. One, right, there is a large volume of data. It's coming in fast and furious. There is a variety of data, right? And here in our data analytics field, right, the business analytics field, we work with 2 types of data. We have your quantitative data, which is your numbers, right? We also have your qualitative data, which is data in textual form, right? So things like your comments, right, on Facebook, right, your tweets about a particular organization, your feedback to a particular organization, right? These are qualitative bits of data that we can use. So that's variety, right? And then there's volume, right? There's velocity, right? How fast it is coming in, right, to your organization. And there is veracity, how accurate is that data coming in, right? So we business analytics professionals have to make sure that the data coming in is accurate, because if you're making decisions based on inaccurate data, you are done for, right? So it's almost like garbage in, garbage going to come out, right? So we call it big data because of its volume, because of its variety, because of its velocity, at least, right? And then we have the other V's to finish off the description. What are the types of programming languages out there, and can you share which is the easiest to learn? There are programming languages that help you develop applications. There are programming languages that help you do certain tasks, right? And these are, they have different purposes, right? So if you want to develop applications, if you want to develop software, right, then the business analytics specialization is not it. Right? The computer science school would be where you would do most of this. Right? We are using programming languages to help analyze data, to help us do the work. So these are the set of languages we call scripting languages, like R, Python, and there are a few others out there, right? But the most popular is R. How easy is it to learn? It's actually quite easy. because these languages are almost English, right? These are very high level language. These are all very intuitive to any particular learner, right? Very little jargon. If you want to use the text, right, you almost program it like you're writing a statement in that sense. So it is easy to learn. There are many courses out there. You have your Skills Future funds maybe at your disposal, right? Use them. Go pick up a Python course, go pick up an R course, or Python better than R at this point in time, right? Go learn it, right? So that comes to the next question, okay, which is better, Python or R, and why is it so popular? Well, R is a language specifically written for statistical analysis. Python is a more general language, right? You can use Python, and if you can use Python, for example, to create mods for Minecraft, right? You can use Python to automate parts of your work, right? If you are at work, right, and doing stuff. So any routine stuff, right, Python is able to handle very well, right? So in that sense, I won't say one is better than the other, right? But Python is more widely used because it's easier to learn, right? It's more intuitive. It's also free, right? You could download and learn it, right? So why is it so popular with organizations? It's free, right? Because there are more people learning Python than there are people learning R. Okay, so in that sense, the popularity is linked to which is easier to learn and its use. Oh, hey, here's a fun one. My son's primary school is starting to teach coding. Isn't it a bit kiasu? No, actually no. I think you be grateful that your son's primary school, right, is teaching coding, because while we have a specialist subject called the business analytics specialization, right? In fact, everybody needs to learn some form of analytics at some point. So your son might as well start learning now to be comfortable with coding, right? Because your son will be, by the time he gets to work, business analytics or even data analytics will become what we consider a utility, right? Just like Word, Microsoft, PowerPoint, right, were new things, new technologies that very few use, but now it is ubiquitous. Almost everybody, right, has used Word, Excel, PowerPoint, right, as part of their work, even in school. So even now, your son, when he presents, right, he's probably using these three, right? So in that same manner, analytics will become another skill that your son will use on a day-to-day basis in school as part of his projects. So I think it's a good thing that your son is picking up coding at this point. Which industry makes the most money from data? You'll be surprised to learn that the industry that makes most money from data, right, is the social media industry, right? Because they are collecting so much data from what you click, how long you view a tweet, for example, how long you view a particular picture, right, to how long you stay on their particular application, who you are connected to, right? So those are the kind of industries that make the most money from the data they collect. What are some of the myths of business analytics? That it can solve every problem? No, it can't. Quantitative data can solve certain types of problems. Qualitative data can solve certain types of problems, right? Putting them together solve other bits of problems. There are some problems where really it meets its match. Right? We come to the point where it is unstructured, it is new, it is novel. In those scenarios, right, business analytics and data will not be able to help you. right? It's just some very good thinking, very creative, right? Thinking that will help you. Can you please share your industry partners? So currently for our business analytics work study program, right? Our industry partners have been online retailers, have been sanitary ware providers, have been banks, commodities firms, technology firms, firms in fast-moving consumer goods, right? In hospitality, right? And currently we also have an industry partner who is in the advisory, in risk advisory, working with us. Now, the commonality in all of these are that these organizations are trying to experiment, right, with a few things. One, of what analytics is all about, how analytics can add value to their organizations, right? So they don't have some of them don't have a analytics department. They are looking to start one. They are looking for a proof of concept, right? So they turn to us, right, to provide them students who they can then mentor, develop, and hopefully at the end of the day employ, right, in their new analytics functions. Then we have organizations which are looking for analytics talent, right? They are trying to grow their analytics department, but analytics talent is hard to find, right? In all, we are underproducing. Singapore as a whole is underproducing analytics talent, right? And good local analytics talent at that, right? So the organizations are hungry for talent, right? And they are partnering with us so that they get first dibs into the pool of up and coming analytics talents in Singapore. So it's a win-win situation. The third group of organizations are looking at working with the university, right, to present us with challenges that they have, right, that they have no capacity to, right, in their own firms to handle these questions, right? So they need a help with resolving their business problems, so they turn to us. So in that sense, we have all these different types of organizations, right, partnering us. We are looking for more organizations, so if anybody out there has contacts with any organization looking for analytics talent, right, I'm the person to talk to, right? So I will be able to then bring together the talent, right, with the organization and marry them. Is there a professional certification for analytics? Currently, I know of no business analytics professional certification because the profession itself is very new, right? So people have not come together to form a professional association yet. The certifications are currently, at least those certifications which are held with higher regard, are those that come from the IHLs, the Institutes of Higher Learning, right? So we have these particular programs, the Business Analytics Specialization at the Nanyang Business School, for example, right, as a professional certification, right? Because we are partnering with industry, we have these long internship programs, right? So in essence, we are playing that particular role, right, as a professional certification. There are professional associations, let's say the accounting association, the marketing association, which have for their particular domain, right, some analytics certification, but it is not broad-based, right? It is a limited certification for that particular domain. So that's another thing that you could look at. But if you want a broad-based, then look to the Institutes of Higher Learning. I think PDPA is to protect us from all these data analytics people. Well, yes and no, because we use anonymized data. So your data is particularly anonymous when we analyze it, right? So so that is the the issue here, right? We do collect lots of data, right, and we do come to analyze it, but we don't know who specifically it is because it is anonymized, right? We don't know anything other than what we need to do. Need to know. So in that sense, it is very limited. Right? So at this point, thank you for all your questions. Right? There are many more. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but do continue to post your questions on Slido. Right? We will answer them through our social media outlets. Right? And we'll get back to you on those. Right? So with that, thank you for watching and good night.